Hey, hi everyone. We'll call this Teton Valley Parks and Recreation District Board meeting to order. The date is Tuesday, August 12th, 2025 at 2:00 p.m. Please let the record reflect that all of us are in attendance. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
Make a motion to adopt the agenda as written.
I will second. There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Motion carries. One more announcement. We do have a live Zoom meeting going. Not sure if there's anyone on attendance. If so, we'll try to take public comment from them, but no guarantees that it will work with technology. And this being our first Zoom meeting. With that, I will open up public comment for any items not listed on the agenda. Public comment will be for 3 minutes. Please state your name for the record. Come on out.
I guess I'll do it since nobody's jumping up to it. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Troy Bootsloff, resident of Teton County. Two things. One, I wanted to give you an update on the public shooting range that Teton County has been working on. I chair the steering committee that was organized by the previous Board of Commissioners. We've been working on this for the better part of 5 years. The county filed its initial application with the Bureau of Land Management in 2019, and we're still working on it. Unfortunately, it's a slow process with the Bureau of Land Management. We did have a on-site meeting with the Bureau of Land Management team last Thursday. It was very productive. Initially, it looked like they were going to force us to start all over again because of the questions they were asking, but they came to the conclusion we've been working with them for a while. And so it doesn't appear that we are going to be starting over again, but they are still in the process of dealing with the environmental issues that they have to deal with. And that is they have to do a baseline lead analysis of the property. They're going to sample various locations. There's 7 established sites that are being used for basically shooting over there. So they have to take a test of the soil from each of those 7 locations, and they're going to analyze that. They're going to look at what kind of mitigation needs to be done to deal with the lead issue, if there is a lead issue. And then they have to go through a NEPA process. We've been told that that's going to take about a year. So the earliest that the property can be transferred to Teton County would be possibly this time next year. Again, we've been working on this for literally 5 years, and hopefully that happens. If it is transferred in the summer of 2026, that will give us the opportunity to then pursue a Idaho Fish and Game grant for public shooting range development, which is always in December of every year. And typically that's the only funding source in the state that allows for a large amount of money to be used for shooting range development. So we're hoping that we can keep to the time schedule and we can get the application into Fish and Game and see if we can get awarded for the initial funding to basically develop this range. We have a site plan. We've done some initial cost calculation of what that site plan will cost to basically develop, and it's well north of $500,000. So I'm glad that the recreation district has now been formed. If we get to the point where we're going to need some additional funding or need some basic funding to get the range going, we may come to you and start a conversation of how the recreation district can help. But we have a good team of 5 dedicated individuals who are either seasoned hunters or enthusiasts who want to see this range developed, to have a safe and managed location here in Teton County where everybody, including the 4-H, can come and enjoy shooting without the concern about it being kind of a little uncontrolled and chaotic as it is today over at Arts Road. So that's the update on the shooting range. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the commissioners who did respond to me. And I'm sorry, Olivia, I had a wrong email for you. It kept on getting rejected, and I kept on trying to figure out what am I doing wrong, because I'm using the same nomenclature as the other 2 commissioners, but yours kept on getting bounced back. But I did send a email to the 3 of you. 2 of you got it, basically on your budget and the proposal to include $50,000 in scholarship funds. I appreciate hearing back from you and indicating that you've been told by legal counsel that you can't do that. This is obviously the growing pains of a fledgling organization when you're trying to do something which you think is well intended and trying to do right for the community, but then you find out that state law stands in your way. And so I appreciate you taking my comments seriously and adjusting your budget accordingly. As I indicated in my response, certainly there's many opportunities through nonprofits in this valley to assist in that area, to find ways to help disadvantaged youth with scholarships. And as the incoming president for the Rotary Club of Teton Valley, I'd certainly welcome a conversation with the Recreation District if that's something you want us to look at, because we do provide scholarships now to graduating seniors, and we've given over $25,000 last year to seniors for them to attend college or vocational school. And so this would be something we would certainly take seriously and see if it's an area that we can help with. So at any time that you feel that this would be something that you want to pursue, but using a nonprofit as more of a way of doing it, please feel free to contact me and let me know. I'd be happy to see if that's something the Rotarians would be willing to work with the district on. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Good.
Any other?
Question? Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So is the NEPA for the transfer of the land? Is that
Yeah, it's a
waiting?
federal requirement.
Right. No, I understand that. Is it waiting for the lead analysis to be?
That's part of it, but there's also now a new grizzly bear overlay that's been
We are in, yeah.
that's been implemented on this property, and so that has to be done as well. So those are 2 key things that have to be done: the overlay, the grizzly bear overlay analysis has to be done, and the baseline analysis on the lead.
Is the BLM waiting for funding? Sometimes the BLM, if there's funding to conduct NEPA, third-party funding, that will accelerate it. Are they waiting for funding also?
It seems like the funding is authorized. This is being given a high priority by headquarters, and they're working with the state to also move this along. It seems like staffing is really the issues. They just don't have enough staff to do this. And so that's where the problem is. We asked if there's anything we can do locally to help fund studies or accelerate the timetable, and we were told, no, this all has to be done in-house and that it's really BLM staff that has to do it. But they're intending to get it done by this time next year.
Is there any other public comment related to items not on the agenda? Next up will be the budget, so we'll take comments about the budget next. Any other public comment? Okay, with that, we'll move on to our fiscal year 2026 annual budget public hearing. I will go ahead and open the public hearing. John, can you please confirm that proper notice has been given and all supporting materials are present and complete?
Yes, the budget was noted in the Teton Valley News on the last 2 Wednesdays.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thinking in terms of order of operation, and since we actually do have members of the public comment, maybe John, you could give a high-level overview of the budget. We'll ask any questions, open up public comment, then close public comment, and then the board can have our discussion so that we considered all of the
Sure.
public comment. Are you able to share your screen so that the first tab shows me? Is that possible?
I wasn't able to join because I'm logged in over
Oh,
there.
Okay.
I could send the link to John and he can join it. But that's last time when it malfunctioned, it was when
Oh,
we
gotcha.
shared
We tried to do that.
Yeah.
from John's computer.
Okay.
So, you know,
We'll do a highlight.
So the approach we took for developing the budget this year is, one of the issues we've kind of struggled with is most recreation districts, when they're formed to, in the state of Idaho anyway, they're formed to build a building, rec facility, build trails, some specific task. We weren't really given that direction, so our purview is pretty broad. Our goal is basically to try to get our arms around recreation and sports in this valley and see if we can improve it. And so to do that, we took several steps. One of the first ones was meeting with the counties, discussing with them what their needs were and where we might be able to help there. The other was talking with the three cities, Teton, Driggs, and Victor, trying to understand what their needs were. And a lot of what we were looking for in one of our goals in this effort in the next year is to try to address maintenance backlogs, things that have been just left and left and left. If you've been to the ball fields, you'll see the kind of shape they're in there. The cities and the county have been doing as best they can, but they just have the funds to do that. So to try to focus on those first is our first objective is putting money there. The second objective was looking at capital projects that will help reduce long-term maintenance costs. So things that if we do put some money into them now, we'll reduce those costs into the future. So we're not just spending out into the future there. And so that was kind of our approach. Then we met with as many of the nonprofits and some of the for-profit sports and recreation organizations to try to get a handle on what they saw as the needs were with sports and recreation in this valley also, and try to consolidate those into a list of these are sort of the things we need. And then, and this is difficult as I always point out, a little difficult for me is somebody is an engineer who put cost estimates together down so I have a specific basis for everything. We kind of start with something that's kind of loose and we're rolling it up. And a lot of that's as much because we don't have the history and the background that we really would like to have and we will have in the next year or so to help determine exactly where it needs to go. So building off of that, we rolled those up into identifying funds that we thought would make sense with the cities and the counties and things we felt we could legally fund. As Troy pointed out, we'd seen one of the needs was from many of the nonprofits was the ability for underserved youth to be able to participate in different sporting activities that they couldn't afford to. So we saw that as scholarships as a mean for that. After Troy raised the issue, we checked with our legal counsel and said, yeah, you can't do that directly. There's some other ways we can maybe address that, but not directly through scholarships. So trying to look at all those different things, roll them up, give certain fund. And I guess the point I was trying to make there about the scholarships is each of those activities and potential projects we've identified for the cities and the county, we still need to do that double check from a legal standpoint, because some things are a little bit trickier than I would have probably thought. And so as we work through each of those projects in the next few months and identify what we can do, we'll be checking with our legal counsel to make sure those are clean. And that's really the beast of this new organization, trying to get our arms around that. So what we've done is we've kind of set aside funds for the city, county, and for the recreation district itself. And with the understanding that some of these projects help develop those costs, but those are not defined as specific projects will do, if that makes sense. This next few months, we'll work those out. And we've rolled those up into what was presented in the public hearing budget to identify those different areas where we felt those funds should be used. That's kind of the general approach.
Right. So it looks like our full levy is just over 1.89 million that we're working with here today. Are there any board questions about this budget before I open up public comment?
I'd like to hear the comments first.
Okay.
There's I'll just make one comment. We did receive the actual property values. They're slightly higher than we estimated, but that doesn't change or really change our property value. So.
Great. With that, I will go ahead and open up public comment. Please go ahead and state your name for the record. We ask that public comment be limited to 3 minutes. And I will set my timer here. Just a second. Not for 20 minutes. Okay, would anybody like to make public comment about the budget?
Somebody's got to go first.
Come on up.
Question for your response. So again, Commissioner Troy Bootsloff, Commissioner Beller, how are you going to reallocate the $50,000 that was allocated to scholarships? Is it going to go into contingency, or are you going to find another line item in the budget?
We haven't yet had that.
Oh, you're going to have a deliberation.
So, yeah,
okay.
we'll do that.
I didn't hear you say what you're going to do with it, so that's what I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Hello,
Hi there.
Dan Reyes, Teton County Administrator. First, thank you for representing Teton County as the Board of Directors. Starting a government as unpaid volunteers is a monumental task, and your efforts are appreciated. Second, looking at the proposed budget, I understand that the thought process behind paying for backlog maintenance and capital improvements. However, it appears minimal funds are earmarked to pay for staffing that keeps recreation running year round. The fair administrator is one example, paid for through property tax dollars to facilitate the board, the annual fair, and also maintains the entire fair property, facilitating year-round usage for community events, equestrian activities, the rodeo, even a quiet place to walk dogs. By voting for the recreation district, I think it's clear that the public wanted to ensure that recreation was a priority, planned for, and funded. I also understand that as volunteers and one future employee, the district does not have the capacity to actually administer all the programming that exists in Teton County, but that the district exists and recreation has a funding source now that the district exists. I ask the board consider offsetting the funding for key planners and administrators that support and facilitate recreation so that other jurisdictions can align funds with other services. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Hi.
Hello, Hallie Poyer, the Fairgrounds Administrator. Thank you all for taking this on. I know what it's like to have a volunteer position. And to have 7 Fair Board members who volunteer between, I would say 60 to 75 hours just during Fair Week, and probably 125 to 150 per the year, each of them. Not only do the Fair Board members volunteer time, but then their families come and their friends come, and it takes a village to put on fair, but it also takes a village to administer the 40 acres that we have at the fairgrounds for year-round use. Last year, we calculated about 25 different user groups, nonprofits that use the facilities year-round. And the recreation is everything from roller derby to dirt biking to equine sports, dog training. There's many events that go on and user groups that use the facilities. We have my position that's 32 hours to 36 hours, and then a part-time groundskeeper. We can't do all the work ourselves, so we rely on the Fair Board members to help us, and again, volunteers that show up during fair and make everything happen. The ski tour, that's another event. Volunteers, they have their own volunteers, and then we also pull in Fair Board members to help with those community events as well. So our budget, the fairgrounds budget this year is $292,091. Fiscal year 2026, we're approved for $333,995. 37,000 of that is earmarked for a water truck. And we are receiving those funds because that was additional revenue that the fairgrounds raised last year. So they're allocating that for us to spend, but only on a water truck, which we don't need desperately. So that leaves us with a balance of $4,900 to operate for our next fiscal year. And I don't know if you guys have seen the price of porta potties, but they're higher than that. So I would just like to say thank you again for your time and for considering all the needs. And any help would be appreciated at the fairgrounds. Thank you.
Is there any other public comment?
Hi, I'm Tammy Saxia. I'm the Teton County Extension Assistant. And Jen did write a letter that I think Sarah did pass on, but I'm just letting you know that our budget has been cut too, like everyone else. Just like us, our fair budget went from 8,000. Next year will be from 8,000 down to 4,000. So this will mean that a lot of kids won't be able to receive fair buckles, ribbons, or prizes. So we're going to be looking for ways to fund that other $4,000 to keep up with our fair budget. We do have over 700 kids, 70 volunteers that are enrolled in 4-H. And we also work with Friday STEAM programming and above and beyond the classroom. The extension office also reaches over 1,000 clienteles with our horticulture or ag and our community development classes. We offer over 40 clubs, including STEAM, gardening, beekeeping, all kinds of livestock, shooting sports, animal cooking, sewing classes, and also have 3 Cloverbud clubs that we run from those ages of 5 to 7. We also were awarded a Idaho Serves AmeriCorps person that is $10,000. The county has agreed to pay $5,000 of that. We will be trying to fund or raise the other half to match that this year. Our budget for traveling has been cut down to $1,500. At our office, we are required to attend so many meetings. We also in charge of events at the Eastern Idaho State Fair that requires traveling and things like that. A lot of our federal grants have been cut that help cover ag extension classes and programming. So we are really excited to be maybe offered some of this to help us cover some of these costs that we're going to be requiring to cover to keep our program growing and expanding. And anything to help would be awesome. And we appreciate everything you can do for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Okay, I see we have one participant over Zoom. Would there like to be any online public comment? If we're able.
Do with the process.
Okay. With that, I will go ahead and close the public comment portion of this public hearing and open it up for board discussion. We have that $50,000 to reallocate for the scholarships. There's also a question about staffing under the county's umbrella. So we'll open it up for discussion. I'm inclined, starting off with the scholarship. My inclination is to shift that into capital support under the nonprofit umbrella for facilities.
that, I mean, that was the intent of where that money would support.
That's true.
It doesn't, we're not limited by the ability to move that in future as we kind of flesh this out in the details. We start looking at the cities and counties and stuff too, so.
And our general allocation for capital improvements under the nonprofit umbrella is only 100,000 if I'm reading that correctly. So I feel like that's a pretty small bucket in general, and 50,000 could make a big difference there.
I feel like we created this before the county started making cuts to some of these programs. I would like to see that 50,000 get put back into either the county or city support, something that's already being funded by tax dollars. Just to help maybe offset some of those costs that they've had to cut and support perhaps some infrastructure such as roads, water treatment plants, those kind of things.
Would you put it just broadly under the counties and the city, or specifically earmark it?
I feel like some of the funding requests that have been presented from cities like Driggs had requested, or their operational budget is quite a bit more than some of the other cities, as well as now the county, maybe dividing it between those two that had requested more or need more for their operation of parks and existing facilities such as the fairgrounds.
So you would split it between the county and Driggs?
Yes. Because I feel like City of Victor and City of Tetonia, we are really fulfilling a lot of what they asked for.
I could get on board with funding the 3 cities in the county as a general unallocated pot in the event that maybe there is a grant opportunity that they go after. Like, for example, I know the City of Victor is going to be submitting a grant for toilets in Sherman Park, but they didn't make that request in this budget. So I would be okay creating sort of a general flex to support any of the facilities under the 3 cities in the county. And then that also goes for Tetonia. I know that they're doing a lot of work for the rodeo ground, so I imagine there's a huge amount of grant opportunity for them as well. I think that just because of some organizations asked for more, it doesn't constitute an automatic bid just because they asked for more.
I just feel like these are known numbers. So all of the things that the cities submitted and the county submitted, these are known numbers. And we were talking about not having a basis to start from. This is our basis.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking, kind of fall in line with my thought is maybe, if there are grant opportunities and we want to provide grant matching funds, maybe if we set this fund right now for the next, period of time, set those aside for grant matching funds. And one of the areas that we did see request for was easements for access and things like that, and purchase of land, and maybe grant matching funds for those might be an opportunity. So maybe if we set those funds aside at this point into, I would put them in the rec district as a grant matching fund. And then if those opportunities get presented to us, then we can, look at allocating those out and start actively suggesting that we use it.
Yeah, I just don't know about the nonprofit
Are you
bucket
saying
at
grant
this point.
application
Say-
matching under cities and county?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Okay.
I'd be in favor of that as well. How about you, Simon?
I think that would be a good alternative. I mean, bring this up now and having kind of read through the law a little closer because I feel like we misinterpreted the kind of fee waiver program that we could create for facilities as a scholarship program. Are we misinterpreting that we're allowed to create a grant program?
We're not specifically saying a grant program, saying if the city identifies an opportunity to go after a grant themselves, and it's recreation and recreation facility related, we could then provide matching funds as part of that. So that if they need matching funds to go after a grant. Basically my understanding talking with our legal counsel is we need contracts with, so it would be a grant, it seems to be all contracts in one way or another. So.
Have we reached a general consensus on that? Okay, so just to clarify, we had noticed $50,000 in the budget line for scholarships. There was public comment that thankfully brought to our attention that that's not a legal use. We confirmed that also with our attorney. And so what we've done, we've just agreed to reallocate that $50,000 towards a grant matching program for grants that align with approved uses of rest of rec district funds from either of the 3 cities or the county. Okay, next, there was also some questions raised about supporting staff within this budget. We had a lot of, in one of our work sessions, a robust discussion about supporting staff. Generally speaking, at this time, the concern with the board as we fleshed it out was that this is the first budget of the rec district. And once we start taking on funding staff, that becomes our responsibility for the rest of time. And it's a recurring responsibility year after year. It's not to say that we're not in support. It's just to say that we want to make sure that we have the systems and the funding support of those systems in place before we start to fund things as important as staff. That's not to say that, so for Victor, Driggs, Tetonia, there was no support of staff funding in this budget. Under the county's umbrella, both the fairgrounds and 4-H are in a unique situation in that they're funded by the county, and they are also they sort of qualify as nonprofits. So we did consider some support for 4-H and the fairgrounds within this budget under the premise that they fall under the county's umbrella. And we did support $30,000 towards a halftime maintenance person at the fairgrounds, but nothing additional. And I also say this with the caveat of we need to have our legal attorneys go back through all of this and make sure that it's legal.
Yeah, one of the things that our legal counsel did express, he said when you start funding things in the fairground, because they have their own separate taxing levy, that there could be some issues there. So we just, as we go through and look at those things, we're going to have to make sure, that we've whatever's done is clean and legal and issues there. So.
And there was also public comment about a water truck too. And I believe there's funding for that earmarked at $60,000. There was also some discussion about 4-H, and we've tentatively earmarked rent, $15,000 in rent towards your facility. Again, subject to legal review and approval. So I say tentative in all capital letters.
I think the thing to probably think about as we move forward too in some of this is, especially where they're having, labor, salary issues and things like that. If there's things we can do where we can potentially support capital work or such like that, that funds that they've identified for that might be able to be used for. And that we just, again, we need to work that out over the next few months and see what makes good sense. I think it's important to note that majority of our funds won't be available till January. We have a small amount of money that we receive through a loan. The district's allowed to only take on debt the first year of operation, and that's to help get things started and established. So, but our big set of funds is in January, so that's hopefully we can get the details of all these worked out by then.
Is there any other board discussion about budget?
I'll still maintain that the staff is part of these facilities, and it is a baseline that's already known that is something that needs support going into the future. And maybe that's all we get to fund is existing facilities and staff with this money. Who knows? But I still think that's the baseline we should start from, is things that are being funded by tax dollars already, and work from there.
I would argue that this budget does do that. I think there's a minuscule pot for capital projects that are unidentified, but otherwise I think the majority of our support is going to the cities and the county as well.
Yeah.
The nonprofit support part, I don't know if I'm sold on 200,000 there. Just because, this is a tax, it's not another tin cup handout. Trying to look at it from that perspective. Where a lot of these things, giving support to the cities for their facilities, the school district hasn't even been included in this. And they should be.
Well, in actuality, if you look at the basis for the fields upgrades, that's on school district property.
But they haven't approved it or been involved.
No. Well, they have. I mean, we discussed it when I met with the superintendent that we were looking at that as a possibility. Because that's, was one of the priorities of the sports and recs, different organizations getting these fields in place and up and running.
They also have a lot of the indoor space that has been identified as a need.
Yeah.
And along the lines of tax dollars, if we could help the school district, maybe they could use some of those funds towards education, towards teachers. And I just think the nonprofits are going to benefit from everything that we're doing. Maybe not in the way they imagine, but they will benefit.
I still maintain my support for the nonprofits because this valley in its evolution has been so nonprofit dependent, and there's been such tight relationships between the cities and the counties and nonprofits. I look at Sherman Park, which is an existing facility managed and owned by the city, yet if you break it down, it's a whole collection of nonprofits. And so these nonprofits, yes, they're nonprofits, but they're providing city or county services. And I think in that mission, that's why I support this as well. In terms of these nonprofits will be contracting with us to provide recreational support, whether that's through existing facilities. These nonprofits maintain a great deal of existing facilities, in coordination with the cities and counties. And so that's why I'm comfortable with this $273,000 pot in support of nonprofits.
Well, you have to subtract the 50,000.
Sure, so choose one time.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose there's Kotler, how do you say it? Kotler. And like TV Tap has a lot of structures that are already built. And I feel like the county has identified a lot of the stuff, a lot of the trails, at least through in the cities, through TV Tap that they've partnered with. And so that kind of thing can still get captured within the support for the cities and the county.
Yeah, the trails and pathways, those are covered under the county funds. We put those in there for maintenance. We've got the sinking fund, I guess you'd call it, for the resurfacing of the trail between here and Victor that the county's had to. So we've got money set aside for that for the next 5 years to cover that big ticket item in 5 years there. So from that standpoint, there are other services, that the nonprofits do provide, that are, funded, spelled out specifically in the recreation legislation, things like swimming lessons, those are provided locally, could potentially be costs there that could be shared. Trying to think of some of the other things we had covered under there. As far as their needs, specifically. Yeah, and some it's covered elsewhere. But I think that's a small little bit of money in there. The other thing that we've talked about is that coordination, the joint sign up was a request of most of those organizations, is try to develop some level of consistent place where the community can go to get information and to sign up for activities, and it's included in there.
I thought that was included in our district operations.
Yes.
So I guess I'm still wondering, just this level of funding that just says nonprofit support. When I look through their needs, a lot of it's covered in other areas.
Yeah. So when we've had this discussion in the past, is the beauty of the cities and the counties is they've got detailed estimates of all of their activities, what they need to do, because they've been planning for years. We asked that of some of these nonprofits, and some of the well-funded nonprofits came to us with, here's our list of things we want. But then there's a lot of nonprofits say, let's take the I can't remember, it was the adult softball league or whichever, that didn't even have time to really respond, and they said, we're just so busy. Those people, they need support that potentially the rec district could provide, and help them have some of the administrative pieces that will allow them to focus on their mission too. So I think we've set those funds aside as a way of I mean, we don't know the specifics of those, but we need to develop those in the next few months, and we've set those aside to work closer with those nonprofits to identify what those are. A lot of those things we've identified in here for the cities and the counties are just placeholders also, because they're looking at potential, they may have other sources of those for those funds, and then we can take and say, okay, we've allocated this much, let's move it here to this other activity if it makes sense. Some of those things might not even pass muster with our legal, and we need to make sure we've got that. So yeah, they have a more detail and a more, defined costs of what they want, but they're still, in my mind, from an estimating standpoint, they're still fairly loose.
So, but if we're calling these operational grants and capital grants, would we be able to then move that money over if we find it's actually a district expense that we're using this nonprofit money for?
My understanding is really the only thing that, and I can be corrected if I'm wrong here, but is the critical piece at this point is identifying the total levy tax, and that we can move money within those. And as we mold this into get our accountant to mold this into our budget, then we'll, as we want to vote and make those changes as we go, do have the ability. They're not earmarked per se as like the county where they have funds that are like for the transfer stations, derived from their fund accounts. So that's my understanding.
So once it goes on the L2 though, we divided it out.
There's not
in
that
these
much, the
categories,
L2 doesn't have
it
that
won't have
detail.
that much
Just
detail.
has the total.
Just has a total. Yeah.
Okay, then I feel like things are clarified a little more, especially the discussions we've been having that
Yeah.
no one's been around for.
Yeah. It's all that loose. I mean, I don't like it any more than anyone else is like me. It's like I wish we had specific numbers we could line everything up to, but I think in this first budget we're still filling all this out. I think in the next 4 months that's our real job, is to delineate this down so that when money shows up in January, we have a pretty good handle on where each of those dollars is going to go.
Are we ready for a motion? I will make a motion to adopt the fiscal year 26 annual budget as amended, to allocate the $50,000 for scholarships instead to a grant matching program with the cities and the county support. Or sorry, under the cities and county support. Is there a second?
Second that.
Just for fun, let's do a roll call vote. Commissioner Beller,
Yeah.
Commissioner Wall,
Nah.
and I vote in favor. Motion carries.
Okay.
Public hearing is closed. Thank you, everybody. Okay, next up on our agenda are the minutes. Oh boy, here we go. Okay, sorry, you've been busy at work here. June 24th, 25 special meeting, July 1, 2025 special meeting, July 8, 2025 special meeting, July 8, 2025 regular meeting, July 14, 2025 special meeting, July 15 special town hall, July 21 special meeting. Were there any edits?
I did not get the July 14th special meeting completed. I'm about halfway through, but the rest are complete.
And then I had one minor edit to the July 8th. I think it was the regular meeting. The salary of the ED is 70 to 90,000, not 50 to 90,000.
Did not have any.
Okay, I will make a motion to approve these minutes as presented, including the amendment to the July 8th meeting minutes, and to continue the July 14th special meeting minutes to the next meeting. There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Yay.
Aye.
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 Yay. Aye.
The vote shows all in favor. The motion carries. Next up, disbursements. We had one disbursement for $90.50.
There's two.
Oh, there's two and another.
It's added, it's for legal support for $655.
And $655 for legal support. Any questions or concerns?
The legal support was for that issue with the county notification to the controller, the state controller. I think you're getting that resolved. And then there was also, in our loan, there was a document that was sent to the IRS. It was sent back to me, or not the document, but there was a letter came back from the IRS saying you didn't sign it. And so I sent it to Stephanie, who had signed it. She had it resolved. Yes, we did sign it. So that's what that's for.
I'll make a motion to approve the disbursements for $90.50 to Teton Valley News and $655 to legal counsel.
Second that?
Is that a motion and a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The vote shows all in favor. The motion carries. And Sarah, before I forget, here's the actual proof of publication. Do you want receipts or should we keep them set?
I've been keeping copies of them. Has it been, has it, the one Teton Valley News one, yeah, I don't know. Has it been paid?
You paid the ad over the credit card
Okay,
and then that needs a check.
okay.
Okay, next up, brand development with Erica Rice at Brandstock.
Good afternoon, commissioners. Thought everyone would stay for the show, but I guess they
This is the fun part.
Yeah, I know. Erica Rice from the Brandstock. I'm the contracted marketing consultant. Thank you for completing the discovery document that I sent. That was helpful to put everything together and help create the document that you have in front of you, the brand creative brief. What I'd like to do first is just give you a tour of the document and kind of its different elements and point out a couple things that I wanted to ask you about. And then I would like to get your feedback on the document in general, things that we changed, things that maybe you don't agree with, or things that maybe need to be highlighted in a bigger way. And the whole purpose of this document is to help me and my team put your brand package together. So your visuals and how you talk about your organization, the words that you use, colors, all that fun stuff. So the top, I just kind of put an overview of what the district is all about and your kind of purpose for being here. And then also put in some of the brand development objectives, what we want to get out of having this document and having some of these discussions about your brand elements. Then there is a section about your competitors. You have kind of a different scene because you're not a product or you are an organization, but you don't really have traditional competitors. But there are some ways where you do need to differentiate yourself from other organizations or other governmental entities. So that's what I put in the competitor section. And these are also kind of, you can also think of these as challenges in how you communicate and how you get the word out. So I would say competitors kind of / challenges. The next section is brand values. I compiled the documents that you put together and put all the brand values together. I think we should kind of whittle this list down a little bit because if your focus isn't very tight, then you kind of end up losing the detail and you won't be able to get your point across.
What's the red represent?
The red represents a question that I have for you, which I'll get to after I give you the tour. So I would like to get the brand values a little bit tighter and maybe take some of those out, or maybe there are some that are duplicate. Your strategic goals section, I took that from the master plan that was put together 10 years ago. So while it seemed like a lot of it was still applicable, I just want to make sure with the commission, with the district, that you're in agreement of that, or maybe there are some adjustments or some refinements to those strategic goals. That was the only place that I saw that documented. The next section is the message section. This is what you should be saying to the audience. So this has to do with kind of a mixture of your goals and also your brand values. And we can certainly add some to these. What I would like to kind of do with that section today is just make sure that it's accurate and make sure that everything is reflected on what you want to say to your users. And then the next section is tone. So how your message should sound. So all of the things that are in the message section, how you present that to the public and your users. And then I just gave some examples of kind of the tone that you might use versus just a general like social media post or copy that's in an ad. And that just kind of gives you a flavor of kind of what the next step in the process is. So let me start with the red questions. The first one is under the competitors section, so other Teton Valley nonprofits. I highlighted this because I wanted to have a little bit of discussion about whether you agree with that and if you think that is going to be a challenge for the district. So it says one of your competitors is other Teton Valley nonprofits. While you're partnering with a lot of them, there's an opportunity for confusion and maybe nonprofits receiving credit for initiatives that you guys do or things that you might fund. And as the district matures, it might be important to make sure that the division of labor or the initiatives that you fund is clear versus what is carried out by a nonprofit or what a nonprofit is doing as a separate program. Just from my experience and having many nonprofit clients in the Valley, like the nonprofit stew is very much a stew, and people get confused very easily about who's doing what, especially when there's mission overlap or there's activity overlap. So I think from my point of view and as a brand specialist, I think that's going to be really important to make sure that you are operating differently from as a nonprofit and from the nonprofits. Any specific discussion on that?
I think that seems reasonable that we need to figure out, make sure, that when we do something that there is credit there. How we actually go about doing that.
That will be the challenge.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of it is, and you see if you go over to Jackson, you'll see their recreation, district. There's their branding, their brand is posted, and I would expect that any of those activities are going to be joint in one way or another. Same with the fairgrounds and things like that, where they're joint, that there is shared billing for the choice of them, right?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Shared billing and stuff, and I think that's probably just something as we move, as we go forward, is it's like, we put a bench out there, that bench has a tag that somebody, so there's some appreciation that the money, that what we're spending money on is being used for this sort of thing.
Is that something that needs to go in any kind of MOU that would that we say our brand needs to be incorporated into any publications and things that happen for this particular thing?
Yeah.
Or even on we very likely will help fund the water truck, for example. So we could put a Parks and Rec logo on that, or we helped fund this bench, so we'll stick a little logo on that.
Yeah. One way you might be able to address that is having advertising requirements or marketing requirements, or whatever the proper government nomenclature might be, in whatever agreement you have with that nonprofit or that other group that you're collaborating with. But it's like, we get one social media post and we get our logo on your website and we get to put a decal on the truck, however that shakes out. But that might be a good element to put in that agreement.
I think the separation is also important because we don't want people, because our nonprofits are so well supported by fundraising, we don't want to erode their fundraising
Yes.
capabilities. Right. So I think that's also important to maintain
Strike the balance.
our 2 lanes of traffic.
Yeah. Okay, so it sounds like we can kind of keep that item in there as is. Okay. The next couple red items are in the brand values. I believe it's appreciated parks and pathways. I just kind of did a dump of all of the brand values that I requested on the discovery document. Those 3 things in particular aren't really values, they're more your offering.
We want to be appreciated.
You do want to, yes, everyone wants to be
Everyone wants to be
appreciated.
Goal.
But that's not like, think of a brand value as something that you give out rather than you take in. And so those kind of being appreciated is sort of it comes from a different place. And also if appreciation as a brand value can manifest itself as bragging and ego, which I don't think
It's
you
a good thing.
guys I don't think that's what you want to be doing.
Yeah.
I just don't think that's the style that you are wanting to give off. And then parks and pathways are just kind of like, those are elements and very specific elements where you're gonna maybe be funding the fair and a water truck and porta potties and things like that. It's just maybe a little too specific as a brand value and doesn't illustrate what you guys stand for. So I would propose to take those out. And then the other thing is, maybe the next step of this is you could prioritize the brand values. And then maybe we'll take that top third and that's what we really focus on. So maybe that's a discussion for your next meeting, or you could
Or that
do
could
that
be
as
your
homework. Yeah. I don't think there was any other red items, right? Those are my main questions. So now I'd just like to open it up in general, and see where would you like to see some changes. Maybe you'd like to see something in a little more detail, or maybe there's something you disagree with in the document.
I don't think so. It's helping reel it down, I think.
I like the overview. It's almost kind of, in my mind, almost a mission statement in some respects.
Would you also agree with the competitors or challenges section? And I guess maybe I would specifically call out what, for lack of a better term at the moment, anti-taxing district residents. And it says in here, you're not necessarily going to win them over because you might never do that, and then maybe a losing battle. But to make sure that you're presenting transparent and logical information and kind of make your case.
Yeah, I like your last sentence, present factual, helpful, and transparent information to satisfy this group, and the district directors that we're acting as good stewards of the public funds. Because, and it sort of goes along with that list of brand values. I think part of it is just behaving as a well-functioning government, and in my mind, regardless of a citizen's opinions, everybody in this community should have access to government. Everybody should be treated fairly. Everybody should be helped in the same way. And so I think in that spirit, it's a no-brainer that we would treat people who are opposed to the district just the same as people who are in favor of the district.
Mhm.
And then kind of similarly along the brand values, it's sort of like the boring government stuff of like, it's not boring, I should use a different word. The fundamental government stuff.
It is
of-
boring.
And we love it, like transparency and consistency, things like that. Versus how do we raise the bar of a rec district and, what does that sort of things look like?
Okay. I'll add something in here about behaving as a well-functioning government entity. That's important.
Yeah, I think, you're not gonna get 100% of those people, but I would like to think part of our goal would be that a fair percentage, maybe 20% of that group is content with what we're doing.
Yeah.
I guess is probably the best. There's 33% of the population, change for sure.
Yeah.
But at 20%, if they're content and they go, they think what's going on is okay.
Or
I would
there's
consider
mutual
that.
records request in a timely manner,
Yeah.
or like they, just the government.
Right. Okay, I will add something about that. Okay, any other comments on any of the sections?
So we'll prioritize those brand values. What's the process after this?
So the next steps are, this is enough information for me and my team to go back and create some visual concepts for you. So the good part,
Yay.
fun part. And also get the brand guide, which is gonna arrive in a PDF format, so a document for you guys to use for training and also to have like as the guiding document. Start to put that together, and that like this is maybe 50% of that or more, to fill out that document. So now now you guys did all the like nice foundational work. Thank you. Yay, good job. Pat yourself on the back. Now we can get to doing the creative concepts.
Awesome. Okay, so we'll add that to the next agenda as well.
Yeah, let's do that.
September,
Mhm.
whatever day that is.
Yeah, September or something or other.
Second Tuesday in September.
Yeah.
Have you been able to touch base with Civic Plus through that email I forwarded you?
I added the Brooke. Was that her? I added her as a user to the account. So she should have received an invitation from Network Solutions. And so she can manage that domain and they can. Okay, so I haven't heard anything, so I'm assuming everything went fine and that she received that information.
Okay. I haven't heard anything either. So.
Yeah. So there's 2 users on the account, I believe. You're one, John, you're one of them. And then this person puts it with plus. That's where you register the domain.
If I need to do anything with that, tell me. Okay? Yes, because I registered and did all that.
Yeah.
It's like, now I'm getting all sorts of advertisements, but I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing, so. Well, that's just okay.
No, you don't have to do anything with that.
Okay. I didn't think so, but
That stuff.
if I need to, just make sure you let me know.
Yes.
I'm really good at ignoring things that I don't want to have to worry about, so.
There's a lot of scam companies that say that you're renewing your domain, but
Right.
you're not.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
Yeah, so I would say if anything looks fishy, and you feel like.
yeah, I'm not,
it's important,
yeah, I won't,
yeah.
yes.
Okay, any other questions?
Okay.
Great, thank you so much.
Dude.
Next up on our agenda is website development. Do you have anything on this item?
I think that was it.
Check.
What's kind of their schedule of when do we expect to see something?
Well, they're still waiting on a logo and a color scheme. So the sooner we can get that done. I think we're already probably 3 weeks behind on their timeline,
Mm.
so.
Next up on our agenda is implementation of operational needs. We've received a lot of, realizing we have an executive session here coming up, so I don't want to talk about any details of BD, but we have received quite a few applications, so that's great. Is there any discussion about operational needs or filling up our pipeline a little bit more? I think our pipeline's pretty full.
The one area we've discussed and we have is moving forward with getting the master recreation plan and the access plan updated. Should we proceed with getting a formal quote on that?
Issuing the RFP.
Well, the question is, are we going to go directly to Harmony if we had suggested? Or do we want to go out? We don't believe we have to go out for bid.
Right. As long as it's below the
Threshold there.
50,000, I think, is the threshold.
Yeah.
On the one hand, Harmony, it's their original document, so it's an advantage there. They are local, that's also an advantage. On the other hand, it's always good to cast a wide net and see what comes. I'm torn, honestly. What's your thought?
I don't know. The problem being, we've got a scope of work. I guess the issue becomes if we go out, then we further that, which isn't a bad thing. I agree. Is clarifying how we're going to do the evaluations on the stream. Because I don't know that if we go out, we have more experience on this than I, and we've worked with the city on a couple of things, but if we go out, we come back for qualifications, basically a request for qualifications, and then negotiate a price from there. I don't know how, and that's the cities, the way they work.
That's for sure.
Yeah, and whether we as the rec district fall into that same set of statutes would probably be.
For example, when the city of Victor updated its comp plan, we did an RFP. Trying to remember the exact process, but basically we created a document that outlined the process that was approved by the council. Then we released the RFP and we had a pre-established set of criteria that we used to award the contract to. So it's like a whole process,
Right.
For sure. And it sure would be nice to have an ED on board to help. So that's where Harmony is definitely an advantage if they have the capacity. I'm open to reaching out to Harmony and seeing if they have the capacity and the time. And then adding another add-in item to our next agenda to flush it out.
You concur with that, Sarah?
Huh?
Go on.
Oh, yes, to
Okay.
reach out to Harmony first, just to
Yeah.
see.
Just to see
Okay.
a high level, are they willing and able?
They had been last spring when we talked with them.
And then after meeting with the RAC, the waterways folks, and them not really wanting to be under the umbrella, they want to fund their own plan. So I don't know. Seemed like the county was on board with being under the umbrella, but the people on the committee think that if it's a recreation plan, then things will get missed with conservation. Which I don't know. I don't see that really being a problem. I think we're all on board with conservation when it comes to our natural resources, but it's their consensus.
We never got and I think we had this discussion last time when I talked with Will Stubblefield. They hadn't yet put a scope of work together to define that because they had a what I thought was pretty high cost for that plan. Excuse me. But he didn't have a scope of work to be able to go, well, this is what it all included. It's just kind of from the Forest Service got some ideas of what the cost is. So.
I didn't see anything, but Dan Reyes did come back and say, like, yeah, 150,000 is what other rivers have spent on a similar plan to what they want to do. So,
yeah.
But maybe we can use some of their data to help supplement our plan. I don't know.
And I'm trying to think, I don't remember what's in plan relative to.
Imagine access. I would think
For-
like
yeah, the
park-
access-
Yeah, because that's one of the things that was done. I
including
remember.
that, the fact that the Teton County does own Bates in that whole parking area, which requires funding to maintain.
Right.
And also the probably includes their River Ambassador program. They're looking at bee collection programs and things like that too. So I feel like that would all fall under the recreation umbrella.
Yeah, we included that in the basis for our budget there. So. And the legal one, because when I talked with Jeff, the council, kind of went through some of those things and said, we're thinking about this. This is a problem. And he basically felt most of the things with the river are pretty clean. The stuff with the fairgrounds, so that gets murky and they get really careful there. But I think there's ways we can look at.
Looking down the agenda, we have for upcoming agendas, a personnel manual, conflict of interest policy. I saw John, you were starting to work on.
Yeah, what I did is I drafted up, I plagiarized what I believe it was Bonneville County's plan, and it's more than just a conflict of interest, but I thought it was pretty good little handbook because it kind of defined conflict of interest. It defined open meeting laws and kind of I think was good for any of the board members in any committee or executive director to understand. And so that's kind of where I built it from, and then it kind of moved things around. They had a whole lot of references to statute I pushed into the back and just kind of referenced, but I thought it kind of met that need to be able to give somebody and say, hey, here's our process. The one thing that it doesn't have that I thought might be value is maybe a form where if there is a concern or you feel you have a potential conflict of interest, that you fill that out. The other, and you can see anything that was highlighted or things that I kind of like, we got to think about a little harder. One of the questions we need to talk with the county prosecutor in the county's version, it's the county prosecutor go to ask questions about that.
Right.
I don't know if that was also the case here. It'd be nice if it was.
I think it's our own attorney.
That's what I was thinking when I read it.
Yeah, I don't know too, though. I mean, because because yeah, I don't know. So that's just one question.
Should we add it to our next agenda?
Yeah, I think I think we need to make sure everyone wants to. Probably
And then
good to edit and comment and
along those lines, ICRIMP has a personnel manual, like a template. And so, and it really covers everything under the sun. Seems like the conflict of interest policy sort of encompasses the board behavior, and then the personnel manual encompasses staff. So I could dig up that I could get that off of. I can hopefully put that on the next agenda too. It will have a whole lot of policy decisions in it, but we can just review it and start to
That's
review it.
That was one of my matters from directors. How do we get access to the member portal? Because you sent that link for watching that video. Unless you have the login, you can't view
Right.
any of
I
their
will
stuff.
ask. That's a great function.
And you haven't, Cheryl, have you heard anything back from the purchase?
No, but
They
I
won't-
can.
They are so hard to
reach
get
out
in touch
again.
with.
I got a
I,
note back.
I mean, it's literally as soon as I got it, I saw it was wrong and immediately got back to them.
It was
And
probably
someone was out of the office and I guess maybe
This
they
is
had
the
a time.
Park Association.
Yeah.
It took me weeks upon weeks, and then finally I called the board member.
I sent a note to the regional guy and said, I'll forward right to him. Bug him some more.
Anything else under operational needs? Any matters from directors?
Let's see. It was a few meetings ago, but we had talked about starting to think about an office space and what makes the most sense. John had looked up some ideas of prices for, what was that, 800 square feet is what you looked at?
I can't remember what the specific was, yeah.
And then the idea came up to approach the county and see what kind of spaces they might have available. To maybe help fund one of these buildings they're trying to build, or just offset costs for other projects that might not fall under the recreation district as kind of a trade. So ideas from Dan Reyes. In the annex building, the mosquito office, it seems as if they are moving out and they haven't been paying any kind of rent since they've been in there. And the IT group that's over there, they have a kind of a shared office in there too. But there's more space that they want to access by creating a doorway to this other space. So Dan's idea was if there was funding for rent, they could use it to fund that door project. And we could have that small office, which at this point, that seems like the right size office for what we need. It's easy to access by the public, during the week. There's a window. So there was that. As far as new buildings go, the SAR building over behind the sheriff's department there. It's still just a shell, and they're waiting for impact fee money to accumulate before they can move on to the next project. And so possibly communicating with the SAR folks to see, would it be a good fit for the rec district to have a home in that building as well? Since it's still under construction. And then the third option he gave, they have another building right now that's just being used for storage over in that same area. But that would take some renovation as well.
Yeah, I think if we can, I would prefer to spend money on a county building than private. I mean, it makes more sense because then we're better utilizing that money. So they can, as we keep saying, is we can offset something that's being done. Yeah, I think mosquito office, I haven't seen it, but it's probably adequate for definitely.
It was just
Yeah.
that little, like you walk right by it to go to that conference
So
room
it's
they're
the first
using.
when you walk in.
It's straight in there. So as far as being available to the public, it's a fairly good location.
I actually have a suggestion for solving, and this is off the record.
Except you're on the record.
Since I'm on the record, doesn't matter. For solving the river problem is we do away with the mosquito abatement problem. That will cut down people on the river.
Oh.
With mosquitoes. Sorry. Trying to lighten the load here. I think that would be, I think that's a great opportunity because then we have a conference room right near the potential too.
Yeah, that's what I told them we were looking for was
Yeah.
fairly, it doesn't have to be a large office space, you know, we're not gonna really be taking up much room in there, and then for the executive director right now to have their own area to work out of.
I wonder also if there's IT advantages with that building and like accessing a secure network and I don't even know what it takes for IT to function well in the building, but that also could be a good thing.
Yeah, the other suggestion that was given to me was also maybe the administrative building, that's school administrative building.
Okay.
I don't know, I haven't gone and checked to see if there's any building. But we need to get back with the superintendent. So that after the teams got moving again, we'd sit down and do some more discussions, but that might be a good option too, I suppose. But that the other would probably be a better in and out, just there's lots of kids. Excuse me, more kids in that building, you know, with ABC and other activities, which I don't know, I just for a public access building, it seems like they should have.
Oh, separated.
Yeah, I'm thinking off the top of my head here is, you know, just having people wandering in and out. It probably isn't, but it might be something.
Okay, so there's that update. Election submissions. So I sent you guys that email about how I'm responsible for making sure people that are interested are able to get the documentation they need to submit. Once they have that, then they need to go to the county and have the county sign off that all of the people that signed. So it's open from the 19th.
18?
Was it the 18th or 19th?
Let's see.
Oh, let me pull it up next. Yeah, so this is my next thing that I'm moving on to here.
So they go to the county?
They just go there to verify the addresses of the people that sign the petition. So they have to have at least 5 signatures. Jennifer, what's her last name? Sham. She's the deputy clerk. Recommends them getting more just in case they're not able to verify someone on there, and then they don't have to go back and find someone else. So they do the verifying and they'll put a stamp on it, and then I have to collect it and then submit all of the documents to the clerk's office.
Cool.
Which is another reason why I'm bringing up the office, because at this point it's my house. Like technically people can show up to my house to get these documents. I'm gonna meet people in town.
Right.
But
still.
I already had someone they texted me at like 8:30 at night saying, how do I do this? Like I waited until the next day to respond, but it was still the weekend, and I tried to make it clear that business hours are preferred for this process. And it even says it in the instructions. So if you're referring anybody, please emphasize that. Especially if they need to show up at my house to get something. But tell me the dates one time. Here, I'm pulling that up. Let me see.
But people can access those documents. You can email them to them.
Yes, I can email them to them, and that's preferred. Candidate filing August 18th through the 29th. So there will be it's probably in this week's paper, the official announcement listing of everything that's up for election and what people are supposed to do, like the instructions. So that's out there. It would be nice to have some kind of system. I mean, I have this little pouch, but I might need something bigger to start collecting all these documents and things that we're accumulating. So purchase power for that, and also printing. I'm starting to run out of ink quicker at my house. So it would be nice to have some kind of account set up at Peak Printing where we can just say, hey, this is for the recreation district. I need this printed, and you just email it to them.
Yep. I'll set that up.
I'm in town enough where it's not a big deal to pop in there and grab a stack of things.
And the separation from our personal lives is good.
Yeah, it could be helpful.
We do have a PO box.
Great.
It's, if you're looking for it, don't try to follow the number. When you walk in the east door, it's straight in front of you.
$12.95.
But if you go walk and do, they're random.
Quick question about the candidate filing. Is that something that you guys want to put on social media?
Yeah, now that I have that, I can post it. She hasn't finalized her, like, so Jennifer sent all the districts her advertisement, her announcement to kind of proofread. And then she hasn't sent out a final draft yet, which is what I would send out to people or want to post on the social media. So I will ask her
And that
for the
draft,
final draft.
can she put the post office box or does it have to be a physical?
It had to be a physical. I tried to use just my business PO box,
Mhm.
but she said it had to be a physical address that people can go to get the documents or to hand them over,
Mhm.
which I think I'm just going to try to meet people probably here when they're getting signed off. Like, there's no reason I can't just try to meet them and get it. But I have to physically get it from the people. So.
If you run out of time or you don't want to deal with this, that's stuff.
Okay.
So you have to get it physically from the people or physically from the clerk?
Physically from the person submitting it.
And then you give it to the clerk. But you could meet them at the clerk's office and go, thank you, here you go.
Perhaps. I need to meet with them and maybe I'll walk over there when we're done. She's still around. And my last thing is I just got Instagram activated a couple hours ago. So I feel like I'm going to be able to figure that out. Any tips because you have to post a photo. I think that's what was throwing me off is instead of just being able to post words, like you can't just type, you have to like make a photo. What do you use?
I made a couple generic ones for the special meeting and the date, so I'll send those to you. And I can come up with a couple of them.
Okay, because everything I came up with was just poor quality. Like it's all fuzzy and like I don't know.
Yeah, and then when you can send Jennifer's ad over. I can resize that so that will fit in.
Okay, that was the other problem I kept running into.
In general, she just needs to.
John has a very photogenic softball too. That served us very well in our town hall meeting.
Yeah, maybe we need like just something, so people love that.
That's all I had for director matters.
Anything else?
Yeah, I was planning to try to get with a couple of the different nonprofits that we hadn't talked to, like again, some softball folks, and try to meet them like at the field and just go, what are your needs and walk through, kind of trying to better understand some of the park issues and things, do some grades and stuff too. So, and start those discussions. I think as we start to move forward and delineate some of these projects, we can start with, working with Teton or whoever, Victor, Driggs, the county, just kind of sit down and say, or what we're thinking and start that process. It might be as far as scope, and then I can start discussing with our attorney, maybe a kind of a generic contract for getting things.
And probably one also for the cities in the
Right.
county. Just a simple funding contract for this year.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not the full-fledged MOU that we still need to work through.
Yeah. Cool.
Anything else? Okay, items for our next agenda, we have, let's see, grant development. I'll just add website development in case we need it. We have the rec district update. Personnel manual, conflict of interest policy. And now we will go from there. It's September comes closer. Anything else before we recess? Okay, I'll make a motion to recess to executive session to considering hiring a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent wearing the respective qualities. I think I knew classes of individuals are to be evaluated in order to fill a particular vacant. Commissioner Beller,
Aye.
Commissioner Warhol,
Aye.
and I'm in favor as well. We are recessed at 3:34. We on?
You're back.
Our last piece of business is to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I will second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. You're adjourned at 12:00. Thanks, everybody.
But you can tell Sawyer that I did learn something on her hiking club thing,
Oh, did you? What'd you?
that bikes are all supposed to allow other people to go.
Yeah.
I don't think that's well understood by bikers.
Well, and I talk about it with my hiking club kids that, even though it says this on the sign, you got to use
Right.
courtesy and common sense, communicate.
Well-
Someone's going fast and you see them coming, get out of the way. Like,
Right.
Yeah, well, it's
But bikers should be looking out for everyone since they
Right.
are traveling faster.
and that, I mean, and a biker on the road, when I say, well, we have the right of way, but yeah, if you're dead.
Yes, I always tell that to my kids trying to cross the street, like, don't mess with the car, they're just.
Yeah, they'll win. They'll win. Well, good.
Yeah, she got a grand champion for her poster.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there was
I
some
don't know. The
pretty
other
cool-
two kids just kind of phoned it in, I thought, on the projects.
There's some pretty fun projects there.
Do we need to put these chairs back or was that?
Yeah.
Can I run? I have to-
Yep, I have.
I do too. My computer decided it's time to do nothing.
It was cool all weekend. People would show up at least on Zoom.
Right? Needs to say it, but how? At the city, there was literally people.
I was interested that show up, they don't want to see.
Right? Oh, but speaking of like one of the top fears.
Oh, I know.
It's today. It happened all of us. I forget all the ones, right? I would go before the city, Victor City Council. And I started talking. It wasn't even anything hard or controversial, what I had to say, and I was so nervous. I was like,